The benefits really are one of security, peace of mind. The crew now are vastly overstretched. There's less of them than there were 30 years ago, but they've still got the same amount of work to get through. And the oil discharge from the ship's bilges, for example, is a classic area where Port State Control focus their attentions on things like magic pipe discharge. So the Smart Safe, in essence, its primary purpose is to prevent a magic pipe discharge. Now, nothing is 100% foolproof. It's impossible to make something 100% fail-safe. So if we can't prevent the discharge by controlling our own valve, for example, we can then at least record the fact that something untoward has happened, there's been tampering, and then there's a record, an indelible record, where somebody would have to then stand up and justify why they did a certain thing. In the case of the latest product, we've actually put a camera inside the main enclosure, something which should never ever be opened by the ship's crew. Once the system's been commissioned by us and signed off, it is a tamper-proof and tamper-evident system. But if somebody does go into that main enclosure, they get their photograph taken, that photograph, along with the log that's created, gets sent over the wire to the ship manager. Another benefit really to the Smart Safe system is that it can be used as not just an integrity check, but also as a performance check of both the oil content monitor and the oil separator. For example, if you've got a 5-ton separator that is initially discharging 5 tonnes per hour, but over a course of a number of months, its output then drops to maybe 2.5 tonnes per hour, that can then raise a red flag that perhaps the oil separator requires service. And that again is a log that will be automatically sent to the ship manager. So the question is often raised, what is a magic pipe discharge? And what that essentially is a way of getting fluids off the vessel, bypassing the IMO approved oil separator or content monitor. Another question is, why do they occur in the first place? There are several reasons for that. Either the combined oil separator or content monitor are not functioning, or the crew are unsure as to the correct operation, or they just don't have the time to operate the systems properly, and they've just got to discharge water and not record it. So the result of being caught for what's termed a magic pipe discharge, irrespective of whether fluids have illegally been discharged from the vessel or not, and in most cases they haven't, it's been errors in the manual entry or record book. So the company faces a mandatory minimum $1 million fine. There are also then punitive damages based on the size of the fleet, and then a period of 3 to 4 years probation for the entire fleet. Now that gets you a court-appointed surveyor at probably $400,000 a year, and they can drop onto any of your vessels anywhere on the planet at any time of the day or night. Now, if you then get caught for a second offence, you get even more punitive damages, and you then face things like port bans. Now, the benefits of fitting something like a Smart Safe or an orb is that they are oily water separator and or content monitor agnostic. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter on size, flow rate, voltage, installation, configuration. The Smart Safe, because it's essentially an electronic policeman, or I view it as an electronic spider. It's got sensors all over the whole discharge process. The Smart Safe is a live system. It just sits there waiting for either confirmation that the oily water separator has started up, or that there's been flow in the overboard pipe. Now, at that point, it starts recording a unique log. It checks for the efficacy of the valves. Are they in the right position? Is there water flowing through the oil content monitor? All things like that. If the answers are all good, then it is a legal discharge, and a log file is created. The time, date, lat and long at the start, time, date, lat and long at the end are recorded, along with the volume of water discharged, but more importantly, the actual amount of neat oil that has legally been discharged. And the importance of that last point is that we do regularly get calls from things, people like the US Coast Guard saying, you know, we've cracked the overboard pipe, there's an oily residue in the pipe, is that normal? Well, how long's a piece of string? If you have data on board that says, you know, over the course of 6 months I've discharged 20 litres of neat oil, then yes, you're going to expect to find an oily residue in the overboard discharge pipe.